talk about protocol because it's become the most useful shield that the royal family owns. So every time something uncomfortable happens, every time moral clarity is required, every time that silence causes harm, out comes the excuse. Protocol prevents us from speaking. But here's the thing that people rarely stop to question. Protocol is not law. Protocol is a choice, and it's applied very selectively. So take the very recent comments about Afghanistan. A US president literally dismissed the sacrifices of NATO allies, including British soldiers, men and women who served, who were wounded, and who died. And who spoke up? Not the king, not his heir, but not the institutions whose uniforms, whose soldiers wore. They didn't speak. It was Prince Harry who spoke. The only royal who actually served in the war. The only one who spoke with lived experience. And suddenly we are told, oh, the royal family can't comment. Protocol. But let's slow that down. The king is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the UK. And the other brother will one day be the same. And British soldiers do not just serve the country, they serve in the monarch's name. Their oath is absolutely to the crown. And so you need to ask yourself, how exactly does protocol stop the head of the armed forces from defending the honor of the armed forces? Because this is where the argument really starts to fall apart. Because protocol didn't prevent the royal family from issuing statements on Ukraine, making moral pronouncements on climate change, speaking about remembrance and sacrifice every November, and carefully briefing when it suited the institution. And as we can see, they briefed again, and they said, the king actually contacted the White House to let them know that those words were unacceptable. Really? Which is it then? Did you brief? Did you speak up? Or were you prevented from speaking up because of protocol? And yes, another irony that I pointed out. Protocol does not stop them from charging the armed forces. Yes, you heard that. Charging the armed forces. Because the Ministry of Defense actually pays the Crown millions to use royal land for military training exercises. So imagine the soldiers crawling, marching, under fire, and training on land owned by the duchy or crown estates. And the bill still gets sent. So let's be clear. Protocols do not prevent the royal family from benefiting financially from the military. It only seems to prevent them from defending the military when doing so might upset a powerful ally or cause political friction. That's not neutral, in my opinion. That is convenience. And protocol has become this kind of moral invisible cloak, and I see it as a way to say we are above politics while letting politics quietly damage people. And for me, here's a more uncomfortable truth that many people do not want to face. Because when the institution stays silent, it doesn't stay neutral. It has chosen the side of power. Silence protects presidents. It protects diplomacy. And it protects relationships. But silence does not protect real-life soldiers who gave up their lives for their countries. It does not protect veterans. And it does not protect families who had to bury someone and still live with that loss every day. So I believe that Harry understood that, And that's why his statements wasn't about politics. It was about the truth. He reminded people that NATO invoked Article 5 after 9/11, and that article was invoked for the first and only time since history. And Britain answered the call, and the Allies certainly did not hang back from the fighting. They stood shoulder to shoulder with their US comrades, and they paid a price. That is not political opinion, that is a historical fact. And it raises a question that no one at the palace, I believe, wants to answer. Because if protocol is preventing the king from speaking when soldiers of his country are insulted, but it doesn't prevent the crown from profiting off the military, then who exactly does protocol serve? Because it's starting to look less like tradition, but more as a shield for institutional comfort. Harry broke the silence, not because he had to, but because someone needed to. And maybe that's the real reason why his voice makes certain people very uncomfortable. Because once you see how protocol is used, how protocol is weaponized, not as a rule, but as a tool, you can't unsee it. And suddenly, the question isn't, why did Harry speak? It's, why didn't anyone else in that family? But anyway, let me know what you think about this protocol issue, because I think I've just about had enough of this using protocol as a shield thing. But anyway, my name's Elizabeth. I'm the author of The Luxpreneur. And for more insights like these, please like, share, comment, and follow me. And to support my work, please pick up a copy of my book, The Luxpreneur. Let's talk about protocol because it's become the most useful shield that the royal family owns. So every time something uncomfortable happens, every time moral clarity is required, every time that silence causes harm, out comes the excuse. Protocol prevents us from speaking.